Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Jai. Akshar Purushottam Maharaj Jai. Radha Krishna Devani Jai. Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan Jai. Umapati Mahadevani Jai. Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj Jai. Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj Jai. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mohotsavni Jai. In the divine presence of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj, in the revered presence of saints, but also on the most precious presence of all the listeners and all the participants who have come from far afield. I know all of you have come with some objective of increasing your own potential. And perhaps that's the reason the name of the conclave is Harnessing Human Potential. The topic looks modern, sounds sophisticated, and all of us would feel that it's something that's important for us now, whether you are HR head, or whether you are looking for a job, or whether you are trying to increase the worth of your own business. Because of the topic and the ideas we feel that might be incorporated inside this conclave, that somewhere down the life it's going to help you. Maybe it may not help you right now or tomorrow or in the immediate future, but somewhere down the line, it might be useful or helpful. So the topic looks modern, sounds contemporary, feels sophisticated. But let me give you a fact that human potential, harnessing human potential, is as old as the first man on this earth. And it will be as long as the last man on this earth. So long as the story of man exists, harnessing human potential will be perhaps the most important and most looked up to idea that people can think of. And how? Our struggle for survival, our ambition to become bigger and better, our presence on this earth and trying to bring a change to the environment that we live in, whether it's positive or negative, that future generations will pass or cast their judgment. But as long as the story of survival of mankind exists, we will always be looking and searching or hunting for processes, methods that help us harness human potential. That will go on. But as experts in your own fields, maybe leaders in business, working with people, products and everything, We should be aware that harness, what does harness mean? Harness is something that you make a horse wear. Harness is something that you make a donkey wear. Harness is something that means to constrain and to control. So when we look at the entire idea, I know the word has been used in a very positive sense, and there's nothing wrong about it. But harness in totality means to control or to harvest human potential to the best of this ability to make sure that we contribute to the highest level. But I believe for a horse, harness maybe you can use. For a donkey, harness maybe control and constrain. For water, electricity, and the forces of nature, of course we use harnessing water, harnessing electricity. I am not against the title, don't please see me wrong. I congratulate you for bringing out this title, but I need to give you the nuances of what we are talking about. Harness for a human being is a challenge. Why? All of you involved in business or even human relationships, you know that human nature is just a little tricky. It's not that easy. You could be the controller of maybe 1,000 people, but when it comes time to control your own son, it becomes a challenge. I have seen people and couples come up to us and say that, Swami, we want to seek a divorce. I said, why you want a divorce from your wife after 25 years? He says that, I never knew she was like this, imagine. It takes 25 years. And you still think that you don't know some of the secrets of somebody who is the closest to you, somebody you handpicked. One man from Delhi, he came up to me and said, Swamiji, with all that said and done, I am perhaps the only guy who has no differences or no fights with my wife ever again. I said, that's surprising. You should be given a Nobel Prize. If somebody finds a solution to that question, he should be given a Nobel Prize. He said, no, I've decided one thing. I said, what have you decided? He said, I've decided that she does what she wants and I do what she wants. I think you understood, right? It's so difficult to know even the minds and the emotions of another human being. Forget about somebody else. It's so difficult to know the minds and moods of your own self. Many times people come up to and say, Swamiji, bas aaj mood nathi. I said, why? He said, I don't know. If you don't know, then how is somebody else going to know? And that's why perhaps I know that you might have heard of a very famous book that came out. It became a bestseller and it solved the problems of so many people in so many lives. And it also brought couples on the verge of divorces, understanding the human mind. And I think you probably know Dr. John Gray. He wrote a wonderful book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From. I think you know. One of the things he did in that book, he said, first accept that there is a fundamental difference between the way men think and women think. If you think women are from Mars, they are alien people, fine, so you accept them as they are. And if you think men are from Mars, then you accept them as they are. And he explains. He said the problems that we face in our daily lives about understanding human potential will be solved by this simple explanation. What is that explanation? He says, you got to understand that men are soft-spoken, they speak less, and they take everything at face value. Women are more detailed. I won't say they speak. So let's put it across. But they are more detailed, they want to know, they are curious. Once you understand, it solves a lot of problem. You say, how? You see, many times men go out with their friends and they come back home, and what everything is so general for men, it's not so general for women. So your wife will ask you, so where did you go? And the husband will say, nowhere. She's seen you go, right? And you are out for 2 hours. And what would you say? Nowhere. She would say, what did you do? Nothing much. Look at the typical monosyllabic answers of men. For man, something going out is nowhere. Staying 2 hours is nothing much. While your wife is so curious because they break every second into a moment. They say, what did you do first? What second? What third? And when she keeps asking, men sometimes feel that our wives are suspicious. They're not. They're just curious. And because men don't answer, women feel that my husband is hiding. He's not. He's just as he is. He's completely honest. He said, if you understand that men will always answer less and women will always ask more, you'll have no problems at home. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So I wanted to tell you that to understand human potential, you need to accept that the human is very tricky. And when we understand that, we'll know that things can become topsy-turvy if you don't accept this fact. There's an ancient Chinese story. It's about management. It's about business. It's about taking care of human beings. It's about connecting with human potential. And that story perhaps might throw a little more light on what we want to say today. Harnessing human potential. One emperor, he had a huge empire. He brings in his closest minister and he says, how should I rule over my empire? You'll have small businesses. You'll have 10 people working under you. You'll be selecting 1,000 people. So these questions will come in a bigger or a smaller way to you in another context. So the emperor tells the minister, how should I rule over my empire? Simple, the minister tells him, there's 2 simple ways which are age-old, and the ways are, there's the law of reward and there's a law of punishment. I think every expert here will agree with me and tell you that if somebody does something good, what do? Reward. Give him a promotion, extra wages, time off, whatever reward that you may not, give him extra time, extra perks, reward. If somebody does something wrong, is late, how do you handle him? Punishment. Fine? Demotion, detention, whatever you want to do. So he says there's a general law of reward and punishment that will make your empire tick. Fine? He said, okay, let's create 2 portfolios. The emperor was very smart. He said, I will keep the portfolio of what? Reward. And you, Mr. Minister, should keep the portfolio of what? Punishment. Now, things started unfolding. Anybody who did little good, the emperor would call reward, promotion, extra money. Then also give him time off, celebrate, awards. Everything went on and on and on. Everybody started saying, wow, what a generous emperor. Very kind, great. He could feel the whispers. That was very nice. And every time somebody did wrong, somebody was punished, pushed, demoted, wages were cut, penalized. Who handled that? The minister. So there was a general buzz in the entire kingdom and the empire that the minister is harsh, he's tough to handle, difficult. And the emperor was good, kind, nice, noble. Then what happened? One fine day after a year, the emperor calls all his people. And nobody really turns up because they say, he's a kind guy, he's good, nothing will happen. Only thing he does is smile. He just gives us something. Even if we go or not go, nothing will happen. And when the minister just said, tomorrow at 6, what happened? People turned at half past 5. The emperor started thinking that I am the emperor, but the more control is with whom? The minister. What's the point of being an emperor where everybody loves you, is kind to you, but nobody listens to you? What's the point? So the emperor thought that somewhere I went wrong in this 2 distribution of portfolios, like you have the cabinet reshuffle. So suddenly the emperor said, okay, let's reshuffle our portfolios. Say, what? He said, from tomorrow onwards, I will have the portfolio of Say it aloud. Punishment. And Mr. Minister, you take this portfolio of reward. So from next morning, suddenly, the minister is starting giving rewards and celebrate and full of smiles in pictures. And the emperor is punishing, hanging. Overnight, the whole of the empire thought, God, the emperor has just become mad. He's lost his nut. And the minister has just become correct. So overnight, what did they do? They took the minister and made him the emperor and got rid of the emperor. The mind is tricky. Perceptions are tricky. Human feelings and understanding is so tricky. So when you come down to harnessing human potential, the whole area and arena is slippery. We can give you laws, we can give you edicts, we can give you maxims, we can give you rules. But unless you understand the human being, you will never be able to harness human potential. It goes without saying. In the normal buzzwords of this world, and I think all the experts will agree and probably throw more light on it, because I'm not here to explain the entire harnessing of human potential. I just want to do one aspect. The buzzwords that we completely hear regularly is that the energy or potential of one man is nothing compared to the potential of many combined. Clear? Many is more important than one. Simple. Teamwork. The way to complete a big task is to break it into smaller tasks. Simple? These are the buzzwords. So the way to understand is small tasks are bigger than big. Many are more important than one. Small is bigger than big. The third, personal goal is always more motivating than impersonal goals. Simple? I think these are all laws that we hear and you'll hear as you go along. So personal is always more prominent than impersonal. A lone individual with a big impersonal goal will always fail. Whereas a team of small personal goals will always succeed. Simple law, and they're all personal. Many is more important than one. Small is bigger than big. Personal is more powerful than impersonal. But in the new age of corporations, in this age of virtual connectivity, in this age of internet, in this age of outsourcing, in the age of giving freedom to man from where he works, the new corporations on the block, and all of them I have personally visited, and I'm telling you, it's not hearsay or read, but it's met, and I'm telling you. Take, for example, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Salesforce. The new companies on the block, they have completely broken free from the shackles of the old adages. We lived in a system which said 9 to 5 working hours. We still say, I go to work. 9 to 5, complete. You go to work, to a place, to an office, in a corporation or a company. Fine. The new system has completely broken off these old shackles and broken free from the cages. First, the chronological cage. They say you don't have to work from 9 to 5. You work as many times, as many hours, whenever, from wherever. You can come in at 6 in the morning, do your little work, go back at 5, come in at 2, then go back at 1. You can work from home. So first, they've broken off the chronological cage. I am not asking you to do that, but I'm saying there is a way of system that you don't have to work from 9 to 5. You just work and produce results when you are comfortable. The second cage that they've broken is the geographical cage. You don't have to come here to work. You can come and work from your office, from your home, from the gym, while you're walking, from the cafe, from the restaurant. I saw, when I went there, I saw people working out amazing solutions while watching football. Come on. અને આપણે ત્યાં દંડા પડે. શું કરે છે? People are policing you more than your potential. So they broke free from what? The chronological cage, the geographical cage. Now wait. They've also broken free from the corporation cage. If you are working for Salesforce, I met. They had an officer of equality. Bring me one industry or one company in India that has a special paid, highly paid officer of equality. Equality meaning, if anybody feels there is inequality, whether it's in pay or this or justified or anything in their company, they go to the equality officer. If they feel there is race inequality or gender inequality or whatever, they go to the equality officer. But the amazing thing I saw in Salesforce, and I don't really say because I'm a sadhu, every fourth floor is the tallest building in San Francisco, Salesforce. And soon it's competing with Apple and other companies, completely unknown company. Every part of business is virtual. There's no hard business. But the amazing thing I found, on every third or fourth floor, there was a room for mindfulness. You know what mindfulness is? That if you had a bad day at home, if you had a fight with your son, if you felt cheated by your friend, come and meet. And in every office of this mindfulness, they have a Buddhist sadhu. So Buddhist sadhu sits there on every third floor of mindfulness. Any worker has a problem which is nothing to do with their own factory. Goes and makes himself comfortable by understanding the spiritual aspect of his own problem. When he is comfortable as a person, he is going to produce magic for you. How do you harness human potential, we say? It's not just by the systems and methods we put in, but there is another side to us. Salesforce is also saying, and I think you should read about it, they say that we will also pay you weekly or monthly for the number of hours you put in a voluntary organization. If you are a volunteer at BAPS, if you are a volunteer in a church, if you are a sincere volunteer in an old age home, and if you spend 5 hours, 10 hours, or 10 hours, 15 hours in a week, Salesforce says, we will pay you according to our rates for the volunteer work you do. Come on. It's no longer for my company, my company, my company. It is, as a human being, are you comfortable? Are you happy? Can you contribute to this world? If you can contribute to your family, to your world, you will contribute to my company. It's not just about constraining and controlling human potential. It's about blossoming. It's about helping it flourish. And when we do that, we will know that we can give that little freedom. But there's a danger clause. Yogiji Maharaj, the guru of Pramukh Swami Maharaj of BAPS, he used to give an old anecdote which was nothing to do with business. But I think that anecdote is highly appropriate when we are talking about harnessing human potential. Be with me in this anecdote. He said that once there was a king. In his kingdom, he saw there was a lake. And that lake was completely dry, empty. So he calls one of his ministers, trusted minister, and says, hey, this lake is dry, it's empty. By tomorrow morning, I want to see this lake not full of water, but I want to see this lake full of milk. Well, that's a challenge, come on. All of you experts are here, I am here as well. To fill a lake full of milk in just one night, that's a huge national challenge. To fill it up with water is a challenge. Filling it up with milk is a huge challenge. So what happens? This minister, of course, he was trained by our modern methods. I'm just feeding it. Yogi Maharaj never said all this, but I'm just feeding all this information in. Of course, he thought of what we thought. Okay? Many is more important than one. So rather than me doing it, let me involve, like you said, public-private partnership. How do you get things done? Public-private partnership. He said, okay, many is more important one. How much can I do? How much can I get the army to do? Let me involve the whole kingdom. Harnessing human potential. So he said, okay, the task is huge, but breaking a big task into smaller tasks. So rather than us doing it, why don't I inspire every person in this kingdom to do his small part? Making the goal personal, then less impersonal, makes you more powerful. She said, I'll tell everybody that whatever size of pot you have, big or small, just bring me one pot of milk. Okay? If millions of people in the whole kingdom line up and pour one pot of milk into the lake, overnight the lake would be full of milk. Simple, many more important than one. Then small is bigger than big. The third, personal, my pot, my size. I didn't say a certain size. 99 people would say, we don't have that size of a bucket, so we can't come. Whatever size you have, personal. Then he also used maybe what Google and Amazon does. He said, in your own time, you don't have to come at 5 in the morning. Any time during the night, you come and just pour in one pot of milk. Any time. Broken the chronological cage. Then the geographical. In any way, you don't have to come and pour it at just one point. Anywhere, wherever you see the shore of the lake, come and pour your pot of milk. And then he also broke the corporate. He said, we will not ask you is for the kingdom. It's your share of your milk inside that lake. It's your milk still, though it's mixed. There's your little pot of milk. It's yours. So he broke them free from everything, as we say. During the night, the whole kingdom lined up. With little pots on their heads. It's all dark and everybody came and poured one pot. But one wise man, at the end of the day, we are humans. One wise man had an idea. When millions are pouring their pot of milk, my one pot of water will not make a difference. Samajh gaye? And then human beings are wired up to share ideas. I think you understood where I'm going. It wasn't just one wise man. Every wise man in the kingdom thought, what difference will my one pot of water will make? In the next morning, the whole lake was filled with water and not a drop of milk. We must understand we are trying to harness human potential, but the human mind is fickle, it's frail, it's full of greed, it is full of desire, deceit. And that's the problem we face whenever we try and face the human self. So when you want to harness human potential, the first and the foremost thing we must do is to understand what a human being is. Great, I can give you laws. Just as you can harness a cow, I don't think you can harness a lion. You need to know what a lion does. It bites. Okay? We need to know what a snake does. We need to know what everything is of or made of. Only then you'll be able to harness it well. So we must know the human being. Without knowing who we are, we'll never know where we are. Even when you ask Google Maps and you pump in or push in your address, your destination, the first thing Google asks, where are you? If you can't fit in where you are, you will never know where you will go. It's a basic principle. Unless all of us recognize and know what a human being is or made of, you'll never be able to know how to harness the human being. You know the famous story of Schopenhauer? The great thinker, philosopher. Every night he would go to this park. Long after the park would be closed, he would be the last to leave. The park warden became so frustrated that once, after months of watching Schopenhauer leave late, arrive early, and doing nothing in the park, he asked him, "Hey, who are you?" Schopenhauer said that for the last 10 years, I have been trying to ask myself the same question, who am I? I don't know what happened to the park warden. I suddenly know what happens to us. That's why Bhagavan Swaminathan has said that a person who sees good, bad and ugly, a person who sees the beautiful and the old, a person who sees the young and the powerful, a person who sees all the great attractions of the world, a person who sees the world outside without him, but if he fails to see inside within him, he says he is the greatest fool of all fools, the most ignorant of all ignorant, the vilest of the vile, and the lowest of the low. What good is it if we understand everything and we fail to understand human being in this entire game of human potential? And that's the most important thing. Let's look at the human being. I believe the human being is composed of 7 parts. Very quickly. The first is the physical. I think all of us understand. We eat, we sleep, we walk. Fine, it's easy. We don't need to teach anybody that. The physical. The second is the intellectual. We are curious, curiosity, knowledge gatherers. I think we all understand. We question. So first is the physical, the second is the intellectual. Now come the rest, which we know but we ignore. We have feelings, emotional. We have questions whether this is right or wrong. It's not intellectual always, moral. A human being is also emotional, moral. We have connections. We are cultural. We like being with people. If you are not, we feel lonely. We are not like a simple computer. If you leave it in the room, nothing happens. We like being with the people. Social. And definitely we believe in higher things. Even if you don't believe in God, you believe in higher things. You believe in your future. We believe in our past. We believe in so many things which can't be proven. So we are spiritual. So now take a human being is physical, intellectual, emotional, cultural, social, moral and spiritual. Of that, our schooling system and the world only attends to 2, tell me. Sports meaning physical and intellectual. Which school curriculum, have you ever had a class or a course that says how to keep your mind stable when you are disturbed? Come on, where's the course? Have you ever had a course saying happiness degree? Where's the degree? We are attending to just 2 parts, meaning less than 30% of the human being, and we expect to pass in harnessing human potential. Come on. Unless you attend to the 70% of the human being, you are never going to maximize or optimize human potential. That's my line of thinking. Everything that everybody will tell you is honest and to the core. But you need to accept that this is the entire spectrum of 7 parts of a human being. I'm not going to go in every part, but now research keeps telling us that human relations are more important for a person's happiness or sadness, not money or education. Research also tells us that harnessing human potential is about elevating the nature of humanity. It's not about just getting more productivity. If you make a person feel more, feel better, make him happier, then of course he's going to work better and produce more. It's a complete different thing. If I had to summarize the entire history of mankind in just 4 words, so far as harnessing human potential is considered, I would summarize it in just 4 words. And please be with me. These 4 words are very simple. Initially, when the story of man began, we were nowhere. We were nowhere. Man was a Stone Age man living in a cave. He didn't have an address saying, I live in the 5th cave on the 4th lane. Caves were haphazard. Man did not have a name, no address, no house. He was like a hunter-gatherer. Man was nowhere. Because of our ability to have social values, we became groups, we settled, we created streets, we created cities, we created villages, we've created countries. We were nowhere, we arrived somewhere. We had names, addresses, biodatas, and lives. From nowhere to somewhere. Because of the aid of science and technology, our ability to think intellectually, we started inventing and reinventing, and because of science, we are almost everywhere. Imagine, just as a push of a button, you can talk to somebody 10,000 miles away. On TV, you can watch images from across the world. Through remote, you can control things. Now, man, because of the ability of science and technology, we are almost everywhere. Multiple identities, multiple roles, multitasking. Stone Age man who was nowhere, from nowhere we arrived somewhere. With science and technology, human beings is like a mini God. We are everywhere. But abuse and overuse of technology, sidelining the human element, we have unfortunately become a generation of elsewheres. Think about it. You are in a meeting with 10 people but talking to somebody else on the mobile elsewhere. In the class, your children are studying in class but messaging to somebody else elsewhere. You're in a movie, thinking and talking to your friend, I hope you are here. You are elsewhere. Many times we say we go home, you go home and turn on the internet, you are all over the world, you are elsewhere, not at home. You are in office and planning your vacations, you are elsewhere. And you are on a vacation and doing your office work, you are elsewhere. You are sitting here in this conclave and you are thinking of something else, you are elsewhere. We have become a generation where we think it was always nice to be somewhere else. It is always nice to be doing something else. It is always better to be someone else. And it is always good to be doing something else. We have unfortunately become an elsewhere generation. Why? We have ignored the needs of a human being. In this age of artificial intelligence, don't think it's not round the clock. I was in a conference of artificial intelligence. A time will come where all cars will be smart. All your housework will be done. All your letters will be written and predicted. If you want to communicate with somebody else, you will write a letter, personalized letter through your computer. Even the answer will be given as a personalized answer through a computer. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's complete personalized letters. They're all happening. I've seen them. We will be in a system that now they are thinking of toys. Listen to this, very difficult, very shocking and very horror. You will have toys for your children where you can download a personality. So you'll have a toy and you can download Michael Jackson. So the toy will talk like Michael Jackson, act like Michael Jackson, dance like Michael Jackson. And you'll tell Michael Jackson, hey, get me some water. It will bring you water like Michael Jackson. Imagine all your icons are no longer posters with all their bad habits and freaks and imaginary whims. They will be part of your children's friends. There will be toys which will be influencing a child much more than father or mother can. We will be living in an environment where the human element or the human being becomes so diminished. There's another way, another time, in another session we can talk about this, but I want to ask you. We will be creating, now scientists are saying, we'll be creating a useless class of human beings who are not needed for their own existence. The government will be spending more time and more money in the entertainment industry on how to keep people busy. Useless people who have nothing to do, what will they do? We are creating smart machineries but dumb people. My only question to you is, you want to maximize human potential? Of what use is it to upgrade our machines, our countries, our cities when we keep downgrading human beings? If we are not at the center of our entire system, we will not be able to maximize human potential. So at the end, I would like to leave you with something that's most important. In 2001, when Dr. Kalam, he was the scientific advisor to the Prime Minister of India and the head of DRDO. When he had come to meet our Guru, Pramukh Swami Maharaj in Delhi, I was present. Kalam did not know a word of Gujarati. Pramukh Swami did not know a word of English. First time a great nuclear scientist is meeting a sadhu. Kalam, a highly educated man with PhDs from 48 universities. Pramukh Swami was a local boy, a child from Baroda, Chansad, who had hardly cleared his primary. One a scientist, a sadhu. When they met, both professing different religion, Pramukh Swami a Hindu, Kalam a Muslim. Kalam came to Swami and he opened up a huge plan. He says, Swamiji, for the last few years, 500 thinkers of India, experts from all fields, whether it's science, technology, chartered accountancy, business, trade, art, literature, from all fields, 500 thinkers, we have been racking our brains on trying to identify the areas that India should develop in for a developed India. Who is saying this? Kalam, not an ordinary scientist. And he's saying it on the behalf of 500 thinkers. And he said, Swami, we have identified 5 different areas. One is, he said, health and education. We must upgrade that for India to develop. The second is information technology and communication. The third, he said, agriculture. The fourth, he said, infrastructure, roads, buildings, hospitals. And the fifth, he said, critical technology, like nanotechnology, genetic engineering. India should develop in these 5 areas for India to become a superpower, a developed nation. I was translating this. It was a 1-hour-long meeting. And as I translated, very gently, Kalam looked at Pramukh Swami and he said, Swamiji, anything? Because everybody had blessed this project. Pramukh Swami said in Gujarati, Swami said, ke sahib ne ko, ke ama kain khute che. I was stunned. I said, how do you tell Kalam? He's just said 500 thinkers. How do you say something is missing? How do you tell him? I think the wisest thing to do in such a conversation is to keep your mouth shut and not show how ignorant you are. When somebody said 500 thinkers and this for a year, you'll just say, great, I'll pray, may God fulfill it. Swami said, Sahib ne ko ama kain khute che, something is missing. And Kalam was very particular. He said, what is he saying? I said, Pramukh Swami is saying that something is missing. And Kalam, very gentle and humble, he said, what is missing? Pramukh Swami said, tell Sahib to add one more aspect, faith in God. See, you and me might clap now. Wow, what a great answer. Kalam did not take it at face value. He questioned, he was a scientist, he was a thinker. How would faith in God help a country develop? How do you put it at par with all this critical technology, infrastructure, science, health and agriculture and education? How do you insert faith in God at that level as a 6th dimension? Then Pramukh Swami explained, and I think that is more meaningful. He told Kalam, a country is not as important as the GNP or GDP, it is for infrastructure, hospitals, or its policies, or everything that you have said. A country should be valued by the character and culture of its people. That is a country, not the size and the system. If you have the most powerful country, but the people are third rate, it's not a good country. He said, the character and culture and morality of a person can only be developed by higher faith, and that is faith in God. That's why add the 6th dimension in your plan. And since that day onwards, if you have heard any speeches of Kalam as the President of India, he would always quote Pramukh Swami saying that morality and spirituality are more important for developing human beings. And that's how a country will be developed. That's why it was a very important thing. He said that developed India would become a great nation. But a spiritually developed India would become an immortal nation. We need to ask ourselves whether we want to give immortality or just greatness. The dimension of culture and spirituality completely changes the way we think about harnessing human energy. 2 examples before I conclude will give you a complete idea of what I mean. You know what spirituality is? It's not just about going to temples and doing maras and believing in a God. Yes, that all helps. Unless that spirituality sits in you, unless by doing mada, believing in God, going to the sadhus, performing pilgrimages, makes you a spiritual person, spirituality is not alive in you or me. Why did Churchill, the most powerful man at the time of the Second World War, who made England win the war, why did Churchill often say that I have never met Gandhi because I fear him? Why? Gandhi was the leader of a slave nation, a thin, frail man who was not technically as cultured as Churchill, who came in a legacy of leaders. But why did he say that I fear him? He said because Gandhi is a spiritual man and he has turned to spirituality even for the freedom of India. That makes him more powerful than any leader on this earth. Spirituality gives dimension to whatever you are doing. It will give you a different form and add potential to whatever you are trying to accomplish, even in business or your family. And how? Because spirituality makes you selfless. Kalam always told Pramukh Swami that, why do I consider you as the greatest teacher in my life? He said, I learned compassion from Buddha. I learned reasoning from Galileo. I learned equality from Lincoln. I learned non-violence from Gandhi. I learned forgiveness from Nelson Mandela. But I learned faith in God from Pramukh Swami. And why? He said, you have taught me the greatest lesson of life, how to remove I and me. When in your system you remove your ego, I and me, if you kept telling your people that I am the head, I am the head, I am the head, they will not even consider you as their feet. They'll call you your head, but they won't consider you. Kalam said, Swamiji, I have learned how to remove I and me. When you remove yourself from the equation of your system, you personally, you will be able to grow potential in things unimaginable. In 1987, this will help you wherever you are. In 1987, one advisor to the United Nations for Environmental Affairs, Bob Munro, he was a former ice hockey player for Canada. He was going in a car. He was a sportsman. He was going in a car and his car passed through Mathare slums in Nairobi. It's a valley. 250,000 slum dwellers live in Mathare slums, the filthiest, the dirtiest place at that time in the world. I myself have been to Mathare slums, that's why I'm telling you. Bob Munro, he stopped a car and he saw so many young Kenyan African children running after in a cloud like a buzz of bees, running around, kicking each other. And from his car he saw they were trying to play football with a rag ball. 200 children were trying to kick a rag ball. Because he was a sportsman, he didn't do it for ulterior motive. He pulled down his window of the car and he shouted, hey, that's a foul because you kick a ball, you don't kick feet. He saw so many kids kicking so many kids in the name of kicking a ball. He said, that's a foul. Suddenly all the children turned to him in slums, children who feel that life has not been fair, they started saying Muzungu, Muzungu meaning a white man, a white man. He became scared. To get out of this tricky situation, like I said, the human mind is fickle. To get out of this tricky situation, he said, excuse me, do you know what a real ball looks like? They said, yes. Have you played? He said, no. Tomorrow I'll come with a real ball. This is to extricate himself from an embarrassing situation. Whole day he debated whether he should take a real football or not to that boys. But next day he was true to himself, not for fame, not for change, not for transformation, but for his own love, selfless cause. He took one football to that place. 400 children had gathered to play football with one football. How do you play football with 400 children and one ball? Bob Munro started thinking that their love and desire for football, their joy in playing football is so immense. So he convinced other people to say, let's go down and referee. First thing he told all the boys, you can't play football in a dirty pitch. Clean the area. I give you a week. All these slum children who were actually creating dirt started cleaning. He said only 22 people, 11 aside, can play in one football pitch. So the number of children who want to play, you need to clear that much ground for football. One more month, the children started cleaning the slums. The same slum children who never went to school did nothing. They started cleaning. As Bob Munro brought all other referees, balls, then he started giving them gifts of the football kits. Then he said that only those people who can play football in these football matches are those who study in schools. All children started going to schools. You got your position in your football team if you did well in schools. If you helped out at home, you got preference. If you went and did work for your neighbor, you got preference. You know what happened? In less than a year, 4,000 children sincerely started playing football and studying. Not only that, as football teams lined up, they became so sincere in 3 years' time. By 1991, all 11 football players of the Kenyan football team were from Mathare slums. Increasing potential, I'm trying to say harnessing potential. Look at the potential. Not only that, Pele, the world famous footballer, called the entire Mathare slums football team to play with the Brazilian football team in Brazil. Not only that, they created a league of 1,000 football teams, 14,000 children. And as time went, another league for women football team emerged. Children graduated, became chartered accountants, campaigners for AIDS, and the greatest thing in the year 2000, Mathare slums won an environmental award for cleanliness. All the things you think are impossible became possible when Bob Munro removed himself from the equation. He never felt insulted or hurt. He was humble. He was using joy and happiness to bring out the potential of the people. I want to ask you, do you think only laws, only curbs, only punishment and rewards? What about flourishing and blossoming the human spirit? He recognized that through happiness, selflessness, and spirituality can bring a change. And that is why His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, when he passed away, I had never imagined in a small village of Sarangpur, we had not even broken the news. History tells me that when Gandhiji passed away, 2 million people turned up in Delhi without a single invite or invitation. When Sardar Patel passed away, almost 1 million people gathered to give him the last farewell. When Pramukh Swami passed away, not even announcing it to anybody, 2.1 million people walked to Sarangpur to see his last remains. Why? 60% of the people did not have a tilak chal or a kanthi. They were not Swami Narayans. And that's the day I found out that though I spent almost 4 decades with Pramukh Swami, how little I knew about Pramukh Swami himself. All the time I had been saying that Pramukh Swami is a leader of BAPS, a Hindu Sampradaya. I saw Hindu, Muslims, people across the caste system line up for his darshan. That's the day I found out that Pramukh Swami was much bigger than BAPS, much bigger than a Sampradaya, much bigger than the Hindu Sampradaya, much bigger than a religion. He was an essential of spirituality that reached out to everyone. I ask you, do you want to maximize and optimize human potential? Grow beyond the fences that divide you. Become bigger than your own self. When you raise and optimize your own potential, people around you will raise and optimize their potential. When Delhi Akshardham was made, there's not a single person who has told us that this is a miracle. The Sompuras told us, Amrut Bhai Sompura, the godfatherly figure of Sompuras, he's a Nastik, he never believed in God. He said, Swamiji, it would have taken us 50 years to quarry this much stone and carve. I don't know how you have done it in less than 5. Kalam, when he came for the opening, he turned to Pramukh Swami and said, Swami, if you have done this in 5 years, I believe that my dream of India 2020 will always be fulfilled because I seek inspiration from you. When Sri Ravi Shankar ji came and saw Akshardham, and after seeing the Akshardham, and he came to Pramukh Swami, he bowed down to Pramukh Swami and उन्होंने बताया कि स्वामी जी, अब तक जितने हमारे मंदिर नष्ट किए गए हुए हैं, ये सब का जवाब आपने एक बनाकर दे दिया. Pramukh Swami said, it is not to give an answer, it is just participation and love for a higher thing. My Guru's vision. Not only that, now I want to ask you that when National Geographic features it, when Smithsonian says that the 25 places you should see before you die, Akshardham is one. When Guinness Book of Records says that it's the world's largest Hindu mandir, when Reader's Digest says it's one of the 8 wonders of the world, the whole world celebrates Akshardham. But I want to tell you the secret behind Akshardham which nobody knows and nobody celebrates. The secret behind Akshardham is a dream. Look, what is the probability of all of us going to sleep at the same time? You'll say, Swami, if you carry on, there is a high probability. But what is the probability of all of us going to sleep at the same time? Minimal? What is the probability of all of us going into a dream while you are asleep at the same time? Almost 0, right? What is the probability that all of us are sleeping and all of us are dreaming and we are having the same dream? Come on now, tell me. What is the probability? Tell me. Same dream. What is the probability that we are sleeping together, deep sleep, in a dream, and the same dream is running at the same sequence? All of us are lost in a jungle, we are running, there's a tiger behind us, we are trying to climb a chair, and we climb a tree, and we're just about to jump down, and all of us wake up at the same time. What is the probability of dreaming the same dream in the same sequence and awakening at the same time? 0. But suppose if that happened in this hall, and we all woke up and said, wow, I was just being saved by a tiger. See the energy if we connect subliminally. Even if we dress alike, we become powerful. Even if we speak alike, we become powerful. Even if we walk alike, we become powerful. If we think alike and dream alike, we become so powerful that nothing can stop us. This is what Pramukh Swami did. It was the dream of Yogiji Maharaj to build a temple on the banks of Yamuna. He took that dream, made it his. He made all the other sadhus and millions of devotees dream the same dream. When you dream the same dream, then doing seva in Akshardham becomes a pleasure and not work. Being there, 11,000 volunteers, sculptors and volunteers, they work day and night. Big task into smaller tasks. Smaller dreams, larger goal. When thousands of volunteers worked day and night, you know, the world may say Akshardham is a miracle, but you know what they got? That's what I want to tell you. All of them made their lives better. The sculptors gave up addictions. The volunteers felt that they can do things. They felt confident to do something that's going to bring pride to India and our future and the world. Individually, you and me are capable of not making a difference to the world. Collectively, these volunteers made a difference to India and the spiritual landscape of the world. Collectively, when they rose up to this challenge, and at the end of the day, Pramukh Swami promises no miracle, but he helps you work a miracle with your own life. All these volunteers made a miracle with their own lives. So I believe it's not about harnessing human potential, it's about harmonizing human potential. I have no right to do anything with the topic. Harnessing means controlling and constraining. Harmonizing is taking the potential of everyone wherever it is, and when you harmonize it, when everyone grows, when you go back to your factories, when you go back to your leaders, when you go back to your old jobs, when everybody feels that you are there to help them, they go all out to help you. I only pray today that let's go out and harmonize human potential. But there's a red flag and a warning. Don't forget to understand your people. At the end of the day, they are human. Thank you very much.